Hey YouTube, Kiritwig here, bringing you all an update to my DDD Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for November 2019. Wanted to do an update for the DDD deck for quite a while now. Big thanks to my buddy Nick for letting me borrow his DDD deck. I have no clue what I ended up doing with my DDD deck, but it's a really fun deck. The whole focus of the deck is to use pendulum monsters to summon out a bunch of different monsters from your extra deck of the DDD lineup, including Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, all the works, and the big pendulum monsters we have in the main deck as well. Pretty up to date. We haven't gotten really too much new DDD support as of recent. I know we still have a Link monster that hopefully we'll get later down the road to just better the deck and help it with its consistency a little more. But until then, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, probably one of your most important monsters is DD Savant Kepler. With this one, it's a scale 10. You cannot pendulum summon monsters except DD monsters. This effect cannot be negated, and once per turn during your standby phase, reduce this card's pendulum scale by 2, minimum 1, and then destroy all monsters you control with level greater than or equal to this card's pendulum scale, except DD monsters. And mostly what you use this card for is the monster effect. If this card is normal or special summon, you can activate one of these effects. You can only use this effect of DD Savant Kepler once per turn. You can target one other DD card you control, return it to the hand, or you can add one Dark Contract from your deck to your hand. So most of the time you want to go for the Dark Contract effect because you can search out your Searcher, which is Dark Contract with the Gate, and being a level 1 DD Savant Kepler, you can then either use it for one of your fusion plays, one of your other extra deck plays, or if it's the only card you have and you want a better monster on the field to invest in, you can go into Link Karibo, since it is a level 1 monster. But definitely 3, opening up this card, and the fact that it can be normal or special summon gives you a 1-for-1 option also with your card, so very, very useful there with this. For some of our more powerhouse cards, I run 3 DD Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. It gives you the special summon effect with its pendulum scale, but most of the time I use the actual monster effect for a good majority of the pendulum DD monsters. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one DDD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of DD Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok once per turn, and once per turn you contribute one other DD monster, then target one card your opponent controls and banish it. So the banish effect is definitely strong. This card also has 3,000 defense. I most of the time summon it in defense to play defensively, but also needed just to help to go into one of our bigger boss monsters, which is DDD Duodon King Kali Yuga, which has a great effect to just shut down your opponent, and running 3 of this definitely does help with that consistency since we have other special summon options to get out on the field, including DD Savant Thomas, which is the other level 8 DD monster we run. With this one, in the scale effect, during your main phase, you can add one face-up DD Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of DD Savant Thomas once per turn, so it's consistency with the Link format we're in currently, since we can't pendulum summon as many cards, but with Thomas being able to add the cards back to our hand, it definitely does come in handy. And you can target one DD card in your pendulum zone, destroy that card. If you do, special summon one level 8 DD monster from your deck in defense position, but for the rest of this turn, its effects are negated, and any battle damage your opponent takes becomes half. You can only use the effect of DD Savant Thomas once per turn, so it works very, very well along with Ragnarok's pendulum effect for the special summon. Most of the time, like I said, I go for the overlay with these two for Kali Yuga, but you have other options since you also want to use them since they are DDD. Since Ragnarok is a DDD monster, it helps for some of your bigger plays. Also, just remember Thomas is a DD monster, so it won't be able to fill out those fusion requirements. For more help in the graveyard setup, I run 2 DD Savant Copernicus. With this one, you cannot pendulum summon monsters except DD monsters. This effect cannot be negated. And once while this card is in your pendulum zone, you can negate an activated spell effect that would inflict damage to you and then destroy this card. Mostly use it, once again, for the monster effect. When this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your deck to the graveyard except DD Savant Copernicus. You can only use this effect of Copernicus once per turn, but the effect helps to set up the monster in the graveyard you want to get back with Abyss King Ragnarok, giving you that option for the field to use. So very, very important there for that play. It helps, like I said, just to set up whatever you want in the graveyard to special summon back with Abyss King Ragnarok. For more of the fusion plays, I run 3 DD Swirl Slime, probably one of our best extra deck monster summoners. With this one, if this card is in your hand, you can fusion summon one DDD fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand as fusion materials, including this card. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon one DD monster from your hand. You can use each effect of Swirl Slime once per turn. So you can fusion summon with Swirl Slime using it and another card in your hand. And then if it's in your graveyard, you can banish it to get out, let's say, bigger, strong monsters in your hand, including Abyss King King, King Abyss Ragnarok onto the field if you don't have the Pendulum Summon to go for. This consistency with the special summon I'd say is a lot better most of the time when you're trying to get these cards out. And one of the better cards to use for the fusion play with the Swirl Slime is DD Necro Slime. If it's in your graveyard, you can fusion summon one DDD fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard and cleaning this card. You can use this effect of DD Necro Slime once per turn. So if you set it up perfectly, if you have link arrows, it works all the better since you have the one fusion play already with the Swirl Slime most of the time. But if it's in your graveyard come next turn also, you have that fusion play to go into. So I just like to run the two though because you need it set up in the graveyard. So having Swirl Slime in your hand is a little more consistent to get it set up in the graveyard. But if you have Necro Slime by yourself, it doesn't work as easily when it's in your hand to get it into the graveyard unless you normal summon it, link summon into Link Karibo, and go that direction also. And for our synchro plays, probably the most, I'd say the best tuner for DDs in the deck is DD Lamia. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your hand or face it on the field to the graveyard to accept DD Lamia to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of DD Lamia once per turn, but it's consistent. It gives you such an easy special summon when you have resources to give for this card, which should be most of the time just with how consistent and opening up the different dark contracts with cards like Kepler can come in handy. And then you can go for your synchro plays. Most of the time I like to go for the fusion play into Flame King Genghis, and then have Lamia to tune the two of them together into Alexander. So you have the level 7 play right there, and then if you set up the Lamia again, you can go into your boss monsters, which can either be Cursed King Siegfried or your Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, depending on the play you want to go for. But definitely need 3 Lamia for that setup also. For a little additional pendulum help, just because I do run Electromite in the deck, so getting these scales set up can definitely help just with setting up the extra deck, and also just giving you destruction plays with our pendulums and our scales to have additional draw power, since there are other ways to special summon aside from having your scales set up. So for the pendulum cards, I run 3 Chronograph Sorcerer and the 1 Time Gazer Magician. Just having this card for the additional Time Gazer monster on the field gives us that extra link play to go into. So very useful there as well, and having that option for the link play is the main reason I run this most of the time, because the scales being consistent. Otherwise it's just that one special summon to rely on, which definitely does come in handy. Being a dark monster also helps with one of the other fusion monster plays that we'll get to in just a bit when I get to the spells. And lastly, for the monsters, I also run the 3 Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser with this one. It's great. It's another easy special summon from the Pendulum Scale if I control no monsters, giving you that 1 additional monster, and then I can go into also the Time Gazer if I have that play. And there's my link play there, and I didn't have to use any of the DDD monsters. But with Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser, since it's also a Fiend monster, I can, if need to, and I have Kepler on the field, go into Master King Archfiend, which can have the additional link arrows and be just as useful if I don't have the Electromite play to go to. You can't use your Time Gazer for the Master King, but you have the option with Curtain Raiser to go into either one of these 2 links for setting up the better extra deck play options, which work very well with Swirl Slime and your other monsters also. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Dark Contract with the Gate. This card is very helpful. Probably one of the best spells in the deck. During your main phase, you can add 1 DD monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Dark Contract with the Gate once per turn. And once per turn during your standby phase, take 1,000 points of damage. The damage isn't really as scary, since there are easy ways just to send this card off with cards like DD Lamia, you name it, and then have to, not fear the risk of the burn damage. But even then, it's not that bad of burn damage, and you have other cards to help protect you with that. The search, it's searchable with Kepler, giving you additional search, and just extend your monster play, so on and so forth with each one you do. I also run 2 Dark Contract with the Swamp. This is your fusion card along with Swirl Slime. During your main phase, you can fusion summon 1 Fiend type fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials. You can only use this effect of Dark Contract with the Swamp King once per turn. If you were to summon a DD fusion monster, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as fusion material once per turn during your standby phase. You take the 1,000 points of damage. Just like Dark Contract with the Gate, it's the 1 risk factor, but still the fusion along with Swirl Slime just helps you go into bigger fusion boss monsters that you run in the deck, making it so you can have true power plays against your opponents. And we run a good amount of dark monsters along with Curtain Raiser and Chronograph being dark, so if you have extra ones in your hand, you can banish them off with Allure of Darkness to draw into some of your more consistent DDD cards for the deck. So that's why I like to run the 3 Allure of Darkness for that also. And for some of the one-ofs, I run one for one, Kepler, Necro Slime, you name it, you have search for all those with 1-for-1. And also the one Foolish Burial, more graveyard setup that you can do with Copernicus. And this card, just more graveyard play, Necro Slime especially if you need that fusion play. But you name it, even if you have other ones you want to summon with a King Abyss Ragnarok, you have that to go for too. And lastly, one I want to try out, I'm actually enjoying a lot, is the Super Polymerization play. You have plenty of fusions that you can use in this deck most of the time because you have to use your own DDD cards to summon it out. But I also run the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, so this is the one target you can go for with your opponent's monsters if you use this card. Otherwise, plays during the battle phase to fuse more using your own cards. This card definitely does help. And having the discard factor means if you have some of your extra cards in your hand to discard off to the graveyard to use, it's just an added bonus with Super Polymerization. So that's why I like to run the 3. It hasn't let me down yet. I really am happy with those plays that it can do, so I decided to keep it in the deck. And then for the traps, the one trap I run is Dark Contract with the Witch. You can send one DD or Dark Contract card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one card in the field, destroy it. You can only use this effect of Dark Contract with the Witch once per turn. All Fiend type monsters you control gain 1,000 attack during your opponent's turn only, and once per turn during your standby, take 1,000 points of damage. On your opponent's turn, it's defensive play. On your own turn, you can help just to take out a lot of your opponent's pesky cards by sending one DD or Dark Contract card, getting rid of also that additional burn factor if you used already cards like Dark Contract with the Gate, or if you have a weaker Kepler on the field, then you have this card for your setup to stop your opponent also. It's searchable, that's why I only had the one in the deck also. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 DDD Flame King Genghis. With this one, if another DDD monster is special summoned to your field while you control this face-up card, during the damage step, you can target one DD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of DDD Flame King Genghis once per turn. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can target one Dark Contract card in your graveyard, add to your hand. It has consistency for the add back. It's one of the easiest fusions to make out. With Swirl Slime, it's definitely one of my go-to ones because it sets up all your plays later on for more special summoning, and it's also one of your cards you can use to go into DDD Alexander. For one of the boss monsters, one DDD Flame High King Genghis. With this one, if another DD monster is normal or special summoned to your field while you control this monster, you can target one DD monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of DDD Flame High King Genghis once per turn, and once per turn while a spell trap is activated, and quick effect, you can negate the activation. So it's more negate power, true powerhouse fusion to go into. It's why I like to run the one of for it. I also run the one DDD Oracle King D'Arc. With this one, any effect damage that would inflict damage to makes you gain that much instead. So with your Dark Contract cards, this card can definitely help for that play, especially. If you want to run more King D'Arc, you can either take out one of the Caesar Ragnarok or Beowulf. I like both of the options in the deck, so that's why I decided to run them one of each for them. You also try removing one King Genghis. I like the one D'Arc. It's really all I ever need to go into since I have other plays. I do also want to get off. And also one Starving Venom Fusion Dragon for the Super Polymerization plays with your cards. Most of the time, this one is for my opponents. If I have my own monsters to use, I'm going to go for the DDD monsters with these Super Polymerizations. And for the synchros, I run the 2 DD Gus King Alexander, just another easy special summon card for a level 4 or lower DD monster, while another DDD is normal or special summon while this card's on the field. Also helps to go into our Crystal Wing play or our Cursed King Siegfried play, which I also run the 1 Siegfried and the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon as well. And for the Exceed plays, the only one I run is the DDD Duo Don King Kali Yuga. This one is the boss monster that can shut down your opponent and also has the strong attack of 3,500. So using your Thomas and your Abyss King Ragnarok, or King Abyss Ragnarok, I always get the names mixed up, for this card is what I like to go for, then just go after my opponent with the big attack as well. And for the Link monsters, the 1 Electromite, spoke about this card enough with just all the setup it can do, so I like to run the 1 since it's at 1. Also 1 Master King Archfiend, another great Link Arrow monster, much easier to use. I can make Kepler and your Curtain Raiser to summon this card out, and then give me good arrows for my Fusion, Exceed, and Synchro plays. And the 1 Link Karibo with plenty of level 1 monsters. This is a go-to card for sure, so I don't leave anything out on the field that could easily be, destroyed by my opponent, or just set it up more in the graveyard with cards like Necro Slime to use. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Once again, big thanks to my buddy Nick for letting me borrow his DDD deck for the deck profile. Definitely glad to do an update. And we'll wait until the new DDD Link monster comes out to do an update to the deck for next time. But until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.